Hi guys, this is gsnmod.com and I'm here with the Allview P9 Energy for a review. This is the locally integrated Romanian version of the Gionee M6, a battery phone, also known as the Gionee M6. It's the successor to the great battery phone Allview P8 Energy, still the #1 from all of our tests as far as the battery is concerned. Now this phone in its Gionee version debuted last summer and the Allview version in September 2016. It's a high mid-range phone with an impressive battery that has a capacity of 5000 mAh, and it's also a 5.5-inch phablet available in gold or mocha gold, and on paper it should provide you with about 4 days of usage. Of course, on paper we're about to demonstrate if that's real or not. So as far as the design is concerned, you get a 5.5-inch screen and a thickness that's reasonable for a battery phone, which is 8.2 millimeters. It weighs 183 grams, and compared to the Allview P8 Energy before it, it's 0.3 millimeters slimmer and also a very impressive 30 grams lighter. So yes, that's impressive. Only 183 grams for a battery phone, that's alright. It feels okay in the hand, it has good grip, and it's not very heavy. It's rather reassuring when you're playing a game and holding it like this. It's got a solid metal build. It's made in 97% percentage out of metal, uses aluminum and magnesium, has some nice metal lines on the side that glisten nicely in the light. And there's a 2.5D glass panel at the front side. Buttons are quite comfy, including the home one here, and one-hand usage is no problem, as you can well see for yourself. So good grip, elegant, comfy, and the back side actually reminds me of the Huawei Mate S, which is not exactly a bad thing. So comfy and elegant, not huge for a battery phone, all of them pluses. Now as far as the screen is concerned, I keep saying it's a 5.5-incher. It's an AMOLED actually, with a Full HD resolution, on-cell touch technology, and pretty narrow bezels, as you can well see for yourself. It's got full lamination and scratch protection, and we're going to put it to the test by using the video player here. It's not a standard video player, it's a tweaked one with special options like the DTS Acoustics from here, or the pop-up play feature you're seeing here. But let's get down to the actual test. Okay, so impressions about this AMOLED panel. It's got very vivid colors, mid-level brightness, wide view angles, and a so contrast, especially in full sunlight. The blacks are deep, typical for a AMOLED screen panel. Now let's see what we're dealing with here on the other fronts. We go to the gallery and see what we achieved in our tests. First, the pixel arrangement and setup is the typical pentile matrix of an AMOLED, well, typical for most AMOLEDs. And then we got the brightness. We achieved a pretty underwhelming 315 lux units, and this at least beats the LETV 1S and the Asus Zenfone 2 Laser, but scores below the Allview P8 Energy, the predecessor, that had 471 lux, and also below the Allview X3 Soul with its 462 lux. I expected more, and it remains good indoors, but outdoors you may run into a problem if there's a strong sunlight. Now I have to go to the settings and see what the display holds. It's got brightness level, adaptive brightness, economical backlight, font style and size, wallpaper, sleep, LCD effect, which can be set to neutral, cool or warm, daydream, skylight, multitask display style, which is native or card, and finally cast screen, and that's that. In the end, it's a good screen, too bad for the brightness. Now as far as the other hardware is concerned, we're based here on a MediaTek Helio P10 processor. It's an octa-core CPU clocked at 2 GHz, and it uses Cortex A53 cores. It's got the Mali T860 GPU. We also get 4 GB of RAM on this phone, and also 64 GB of storage, plus a micro SD card slot. So pretty potent specs for an apparent mid-ranger close to a high-end. It's got no trace of lag, everything works fluidly. You can open up a ton of apps, there will be no problem, and then you can open up one more and there will be no trace of lag or delay. Anyways, we also tried out games here, and quite high-end ones. We tried the Turbo League, which is new, launched last month, and the benchmark game Riptide GP Renegade, which is a rather intensive game, a benchmark title with high-end graphics, and you'll see in a minute that all the textures, lighting, shadows and everything is okay here. So picking this race, you can already tell it's a good device by the way it moves through the menus. I've seen 1 or 2 phones even lagging through the menus, which is a bad thing. Now here there is no bad thing, the water is rendered pretty nicely. Nice lighting effects, responsive controls, no frame rate drop, nice shadows, and it plays like a charm with no stutter or delay. So now that the gaming checks out, and by the way Turbo Leak also works out fine, let's see what we're dealing with on the benchmark front. So we go into the screenshots and we start off with the famous quadrant. Well, in quadrant we scored past the Allview X3 Soul Pro but below the Huawei Honor 5X. Meanwhile, in Antutu 6, one of the most relevant benchmarks out there, this is what we scored, and we beat the Sony Xperia XA and the Allview X3 Soul Pro but scored below the Asus Zenfone 3. In general, we were above the X3 Soul Pro in all the tests and below the Zenfone 3 in most of them. Now in the gamers benchmark, which is 3D Mark iStorm Unlimited, this is regular iStorm and this is iStorm Unlimited, a pretty good score I would say for a mid-ranger, once again beating the X3 Soul Pro but scoring below the quite old Huawei Honor 7. So you'll notice something that will jump out in all of these tests. The 3D aspect is a bit on the low side, so the GPU is kind of old, the performance may be good, but the GPU not very impressive and not very future-proof. And now, as far as the temperature goes, there's no problem with overheating here. We hit 32.2 degrees Celsius after running GFX Bench, no overheating, and after running the game you saw before, Riptide GP Renegade, 37.5 degrees Celsius, so once again no trace of overheating. So this is a battery phone, so let's talk battery. Inside this relatively compact phablet is a 5000 mAh unit, lithium polymer. It comes bundled with a charger that offers 9 volts and 2 amperes for its charging. And on paper we are promised 555 hours of standby time and 1621 minutes of talk time, or 2 days of heavy usage or 4 days of light usage. Then there's also the MediaTek Pump Express Plus technology that charges the phone to 10% in 15 minutes, which provides 300 minutes of music. Now let's see how we did in our tests. So we start off with the HD video playback in a loop test, achieving 18 hours and 21 minutes, which is simply great. It surpasses the Lumia 1520 and the Ulefone Power. It only scores below 2 phones from all the many phones we've tested, the predecessor, the P8 Energy, and it's 22 hours, and the famous Asus Zenfone Max 1st gen, keep that in mind. And then comes the impressive PC Mark test, continuous usage is simulated here, 13 hours 27 minutes, which is very solid. It's the 3rd spot, placed below once again the Asus Zenfone Max and the P8 Energy, the predecessor to this phone. We beat the P6 Energy and the P8 Energy Pro, so I would say we're doing fine. We're in top 3 and those were some pretty hardcore battery phones. In order to juice up this phone, we required 2 hours and 24 minutes, which is excellent for a battery phone. The predecessor required 3 hours and 10 minutes, so we surpassed it. We also did better than the Lenovo Vibe X3 and the P8 Energy, but scored below the Ulefone Power that charges a bit faster. Now let's see the settings related to the battery. So we go here and advanced settings, manage battery, and we got the following. There's power manager with modes like normal mode, power saving mode, which also can turn the background of the screen black, and extreme power saving mode, which offers this interface. It's black and white and only offers access to the basic options like phone, contacts and messaging. Then we got smart power saving at night and other options like battery optimization and fast charge, to name just 2 of them. And also you can use the port of the phone and its USB OTG cable to juice up other devices, be it tablets or phones. So overall a very solid battery, even for a battery phone with high expectations. Now it's time to discuss the acoustics. So as you can see, it's branded DTS here, so it's got DTS sound, and at the bottom there seem to be 2 grills. Well, it's actually only the left one, that's actually the speaker, so it's very easy to cover with your hand, so that's a bummer when you're playing games or watching a video. The pre-installed music player is this one, simply called Music. If you've seen an Allview phone before, it's a typical interface. Equalizer also typical with a DTS option, volume effects, all these presets for genres, and an equalizer with 5 channels to customize. Okay, and then we got options for separate types of headphones and a custom one with many extra options. Let's actually listen to some tunes and see how we're doing here. So we start with this one. Okay, so conclusions, you just saw the muffling happening when held in landscape, and other than that the sound is loud and clear. We have a good bass, nice high notes, solid voice, and you can actually feel the DTS in action when activated. Now you don't have to believe me, you don't have to believe my word, because we have a decibel meter test to show you what happened here. So we achieved a pretty solid 86.3 decibels when using our audio sample for testing, and when using the game before, the one called Riptide GP Renegade, we jumped to 93.5 decibels, quite impressive. We beat the OnePlus One and the Galaxy S6, but scored below the champions like the BlackBerry Passport, for example. Now the headphones bundled with this device, they look something like this. They're white, quite elegant, and also pretty comfy. They sit perfectly in the ear, they're very loud, have an excellent bass. I was actually shocked by the bass. They have a big remote that's pretty elegant in its own, and the type of wire that's able to tangle quite easily, sadly. Okay, so we're happy with all the features we have here acoustics wise, happy with the comfy headphones, happy with the volume, and we also have FM radio with an option to start record it from the radio. Okay, so that's the acoustics in a nutshell. Time to discuss the camera. I remember that the predecessor, the Allview P8 Energy, keep in mind this is the P9, had a pretty solid 30 megapixel camera, and this one also comes with a 13 megapixel back camera, phase detection autofocus, and the same camera sensor as the OnePlus X and the Xperia XA. You got an LED flash here, and the front gets an upgrade, so the selfie camera is an 8 megapixel shooter this time with a screen flash. The predecessor only had a 5 megapixel shooter. Now the camera app starts up pretty fast, but it was already open, so let's close down some apps and try again. Here we go. So I would say it starts up reasonably fast. I'm going to use this little guy here. Okay, and other than that we have a pretty fast focus. Well, reasonably fast focus, better said mid-level for a mid-ranger, while the zoom is very fluid, as you can see, and picture taken is pretty fast. Manual focus seems to take a bit longer, but in the end we did it. Anyways, now as far as the actual options go, if you've seen an Allview phone before, well, you've seen all of them. These are the main options: geotagging, guidelines, resolution, volume keys, and of course the main modes. You got stuff like panorama, smart scene, peak note, there's night, there is also time-lapse, GIF, HDR, professional text recognition, card scanner, mood photo, take anytime, smart scan and translation. And if you choose professional, you will trigger several other options like exposure, ISO, white balance, shutter, and focus, to name just a few. And here on the right side you can also find the effects and also some other modes like face beauty or video, which lets you record video up to full HD as shown here. If you want to take selfies, you'll be taking them and the screen will turn white and serve as a flash for the front camera. Now let's see how the gallery handled our test and be prepared for a big surprise. So I'm going to start off with the shots taken during the daytime. It was the middle of January at minus 10 degrees Celsius during the day, and somehow the sun, a strong sun, and the snow made everything look perfect. It was shocking, I know, for a mid-ranger, but it's excellent. So this phone that's priced at around $300 or $400 produced some very good shots. The lighting was excellent, the panorama was reasonable resolution wise, 6848 over 1776 pixels, which is rather okay, and all the images were crisp, and even with the sun in front of us we had no problem. Everything is crystal clear, the details are quite good in landscape shots, and the texture of the snow is simply amazing. As usual, the sun helped by being reflected from the snow, so it's as if we had the special lighting all around us. Now this is an HDR that makes everything a bit too white, so that's one drawback, but all the objects, textures were perfect here. I was also happy with the quality of the selfies, of the skin texture, the hair texture, but the background was a bit blurry. The colors were pretty realistic and well calibrated, no objection here, and the clarity was simply flawless. We started a zoom test here, so zoom level 1 is okay, but if you zoom in more you will lose some details. Some more selfies, the skin is a bit too white maybe compared to the real complexion, and the close-ups were excellent, as you can see for yourself. That's quite amazing for a $300 phone that's focused more on the battery rather than the 13 megapixel camera. So in the end, a pleasant surprise, this Allview P9 Energy or Gionee M6. It produces some very solid quality shots. There's a bit of trace of over sharpening here, I'll admit it. Some photos look simply too good, but in the end, the clarity, the focus and the lighting are picture perfect and one cannot complain about that. I would have to say it fights on equal terms with the Huawei Nova and the Samsung Galaxy A5016, and it's a clear upgrade from its predecessor. Now, those are daytime shots, and we also have nighttime shots, which are much less impressive. So they're foggy, we got a lot of yellowish hue. When the flash is on, everything becomes washed out. The images are blurry, street light halos are simply exaggerated, they drown everything around them, and the texture of the buildings is okay-ish, and that's about it. The colors are also reasonable, although some parts of the picture are a bit too blue. They suffer from that bluish hue that affects some phones during the night time. So I'm not impressed by the nighttime capture, but I am impressed by the daytime capture, so forget about low light, start taking shots during the day with the Gionee M6. And overall still an upgrade from the predecessor. Now let's see what the video is all about. We shot video in MP4, Full HD, 25 frames per second during the day, 14 mega per second, and here we are. A very good microphone that recorded both the ambience around us and what the people were saying. Pretty good lighting. Of course, when zooming in we recorded some detail loss. The colors are decent. It's also good with motion, and you'll see in a minute why I said that. We caught some people snowboarding and skiing, and here we go. No problem whatsoever with changing focus and moving around. All the textures are okay, clarity is good, and the sound was also nice. Worry not, because we do not only have snow for you, we also have more colorful vids to show you, like this one here. So good colors, nice clarity and a nice exposure change. This video also featured a loss of focus at the end, probably the only instance when that happened. The details are unimpressive and there's a bit of burn in the area where the sun shone too much. In the end it's okay, just okay. Reminds me of the older Huawei Honor phones and the Zenfone 2 maybe. That's daytime capture. Nighttime is a letdown. We filmed at 16 frames per second, only 16 and only 9 mega per second bitrate. Things are dramatic here. Street light halos are huge. The image is very foggy. We got detail loss when zooming in. The microphone remains very good. The image is too yellow and things are very shaky. Yes, I know what you're about to say. You may say that it was too cold outside, maybe minus 20 degrees. That may be a reason for these images to look like this, but in the end I have a feeling that even during a warm night, video capture isn't very impressive. So we only remain with the daytime photo capture and the reasonable video capture, and that's pretty much it. Now let's see how the browser can handle our tests. So we got the pre-installed browser that you can opt for, or you can go with Chrome. Of course, we have both alternatives. So the pre-installed browser is not very fast, as you can see. Actually not fast at all. Finally loaded the website, and this is the virtual keyboard. It's the stock one, so you can even use a swipe motion to write stuff. And then you got Chrome, as I said before, which is available here, and it's slightly faster. Okay, so that's the web browsing in a nutshell. We get the pre-installed one and Chrome. None of them is very fast, but Chrome seems to do a bit better, which is also confirmed by the benchmarks like SunSpider and Velamo and all that. Now let's talk about the connectivity. So this is a dual SIM phone that has 2 micro SIM slots, and it also comes with GPS, HD voice and micro USB 2.0 port at the bottom. Plus there's LTE category 6 here with up to 300 Mbps download speeds on paper, Bluetooth 4.0, Wi-Fi BGN, we got Wi-Fi Direct, and also, surprise, there's an infrared emitter right here on this side, which is kind of nice to have. Now if you go to the dialer, you'll see options like blacklist, speed dial, and a bunch of settings. The calls have a loud volume, they're quite clear, the signal is good, also good noise reduction. And since I mentioned the infrared emitter, we have the Peel Smart Remote app, and we can access some TV guide options here. And of course we can also access the actual remote, control the TV set-top box, and a variety of other gadgets. Now when it comes to the downloads and uploads, we actually measured those as well, and let's see what we got. So the results available here are as follows. We did a bunch of speed tests and achieved up to 89 megapsecond downloads in 4G and 48 megapsecond uploads. This is quite a fine result, while the Wi-Fi test was a bit more underwhelming. So in Wi-Fi we achieved 80 megapsecond downloads and 25 megapsecond uploads, so expected a bit more from Wi-Fi, while the 4G is pretty much okay. Now on the software front, we're running on Android 6.0 Marshmallow. If you've seen an Allview phone before over the past 1 or 2 years, you know what to expect interface wise. It's a custom experience, and a swipe from the top to the bottom reveals notification, while a swipe up from the bottom of the screen reveals this sort of action center with the bubble quick settings and more that can be added from here. Some of them are actually interesting, like split screen super screenshot. You can also trigger a screen recorder that actually records the screen and may come in very handy. There's also fake call, calculator, and camera, and in general they're quite useful. Now multitasking is done like this via the carousel. The famous carousel is available here, and the split screen thingy, let's activate it. As the name says, it allows you to use two apps at the same time. So if I want to use YouTube and the calculator, I can. You can also expand one app's coverage of an area. Sadly, the list is kind of limited when it comes to the apps that can use these modes. Now the widgets, let's see those as well. They're custom, they're not stock. They're quite good looking, especially the 3D ones for the weather. And of course, we also have the stock ones included. And we also have effects, basically transitions between home screens, and that's that. Now, in the settings area, you'll find usual options like do not disturb, security, which also includes app pinning, screen pinning actually, it's available here. And then we have notification and control center with options available here. And finally, advanced settings with smart gestures, like the usual double tap to wake up, smart bright screen, which actually lights up the screen when the front camera detects you, smart dial, smart answer, and the suspend button, basically a floating widget with extra features that replace the capacitive buttons, for example. There's LED indicator, and finally we have the fingerprint scanner. We have a guest mode here, we have the screen lock, and the fingerprint scanner has one print set up. So let's actually activate it. Okay, so fingerprint 1 is registered. The screen lock is based on swipe. Now you can base it on a pin. Okay, and the fingerprint is ready to work. So now let's see just how fast it goes. As you can see, it's instant. At first sight, you may believe that you are needed to press the home button. Well, actually, you are not needed to press. Touch is enough. So if I unlock the device like this, I can only put my finger gently here, and I've unlocked it. Let's try a 180 degree. As you can see, first not recognized, but then you recognized it. I'm pretty happy with the behavior of the fingerprint scanner, so at least it's accurate and quite fast. I should also mention that this fingerprint scanner here has a 12-step setup, and an interesting aspect, if you go to the gallery, there's a special area where you can find your trash, your deleted photos, and other things like that. Now, as far as the pre-installed apps are concerned, you can see there's a bunch of them, and the ones that are highlighted the most are the Microsoft ones. We got Outlook, Word, Excel, PowerPoint, OneNote, OneDrive, and Skype. In total, there are 56 apps here, quite a few of them, and sadly only a few are uninstallable, which is a bit of a bummer. Things to remember here: the Bitdefender mobile security antivirus, we got the Chameleon app, we got the child mode, we also have, of course, the Google Suite is present here. There's Peel Smart Remote, Notes for note taking. We also have System Manager, which cleans the cache and can be used to make the device function more smoothly. Private space, if you want to protect a certain area of the phone, like pics, files, even a camera, you can use this here and set up a special fingerprint for that purpose. Okay, and then we have the video editor, and finally trip plans, so you can plan trips, basically a tourism app. So in the end, 56 apps is a lot, and it's a bummer you cannot uninstall more of them. Okay, so this has been the review so far of the Allview P9 Energy, also known as the locally integrated version of the Gionee M6. Now, the pros and cons. On the pro side, we got a pretty nice design, a comfy phone, an excellent battery. It's a power bank as well, it can juice up other devices. We got very good camera shots during the day. It was actually a pleasant surprise. The performance is good, the speaker is quite loud, and there is the infrared emitter at the top, plus a good fingerprint scanner. Those are the pros. On the con side, everything aside from photo capture during the day is a bummer. I mean, video capture, low light capture, and even the selfies. The screen should be a bit brighter. Got a modest GPU here. Wi-Fi should be faster. There is bloatware, and over the past 2 years, Allview has been serving pretty much the same interface, so maybe it's time for a change. In the end, this is a worthy successor to the Allview P8 Energy. This is the P9 Energy. It's got a great battery. I admit it's a bit pricey at around $400, maybe $300 would be more just for what it offers. If it drops to that value, it becomes an instant best buy, and it's got to be the best Allview phone and Gionee phone at the moment as far as the design to battery aspect is concerned. So if you compare design and battery to any other Gionee or Allview phones, this one wins. And also at the price, drop it a bit, and then you get a true hit. The camera was a pleasant surprise, you should also keep that in mind. So if you want battery and camera, this is the phone for you. And in spite of the quite low brightness, the screen is still an AMOLED that looks pretty great. So if you never had a battery phone before, this would be a good idea to start the Allview P9 Energy, the locally integrated version of the Gionee M6. This is it from gsn.com. Bye bye.